Hey diabetic friends, Matt Collins here with Size Slim, and today we're going to talk about this new insulin that we have, which is called Fiasp. I promised my followers that I would start using Fiasp a couple of weeks ago, which I did, and I received the first shipment, which comes in your standard 5-pack like this. I've already used 2, and so far so good. And what we're going to do today is just go over a little bit about exactly what Fiasp is, how it works, why it's a little bit different, and my experience with it so far, so you can make the best decision for yourself going forward on what kind of insulin you guys want to use. So first and foremost, what is Fiasp? Fiasp is essentially a normal kind of fast-acting insulin with a couple of different additions. They made 2 additions that I'm going to read from their website. It's vitamin B3. They added the supplement which is called L-arginine, which is basically a formulation stabilizing amino acid. So real quick product plug, we know what amino acids are from the company, Size Slim. Amino acids are essentially the building blocks for making muscle. We have amino acids in our recovery, which is called a BCAA, branched chain amino acids. Those are the building blocks for muscles, in addition to a couple of others called HICA, which is another one that helps you recover faster after working out. So just a quick product plug there, but just so you guys know exactly what makes Fiasp a little bit different. The whole concept of Fiasp is brilliant. The idea of this is that it will actually start reacting faster in the body so as to alleviate us from getting those huge sugar spikes after eating. And what I found is that this is absolutely true. And the way that this works, I drew this little graph to make this a little bit easier understood by everybody. I drew 2 different lines here. This is insulin used in the body, okay? And this is hours, time on the bottom. And what we see here is that we have 2 different kinds of insulins. Regular Humalog, so something like an Epidra, for example, or maybe a Novolog. This is a typical Humalog, Novolog kind of, which is called insulin aspart kind of insulin in green here. And then I have Fiasp in red. And so what I've outlined is that food typically digests in our body after about 15 to 20 minutes. What was happening with a lot of people is they would give their insulin at the same time as eating, and when they were giving the old aspart or the Novolog, they would give their insulin, their sugars would spike because the food had already been digesting, and then they would kind of like level off at the bottom here, but they would go up to dangerous levels, 200, 220, 250, and then it would start falling back down. For me, what would typically happen is that I would go up to about 160, 170, but what I realized is I was giving too much insulin because in the latter hours, I would start falling. So in these later hours, I would start falling in hours 2, 3, 4. And I'd find myself eating another snack or something like that down here in hour 4 because I really didn't need that much insulin, but I thought I was giving the right amount because hours 1 and 2 were kind of okay. So what this allowed me to do is give my insulin at the same time. Previously, endocrinologists used to tell us, hey, take your insulin 15 to 20 minutes prior to eating. Well, turns out nobody does that. So what this allows me to do is to eat and take my insulin at the exact same time as eating. And you can see here the food digests at 15 to 20 minutes. Well, this is exactly when Fiasp peaks. So you can see in the first hour, you're getting roughly 50% more, double the insulin that you would when compared to a typical fast-acting insulin. So you can see the space under the graphs here in 1 hour with Fiasp is roughly double. This is directly from one of their websites, so I'm not just making this up. This is actually kind of how it works. The downside, though, that's something you need to really remember is that when you're eating fatty foods, it's going to affect you a little bit more because fatty foods, as we know, start digesting or finish digesting in hours 2 to 6, right? So in these hours, you'll notice that Humalog is above the graph by quite a bit. You're probably getting 25% more insulin in these later hours. So be careful about that when you're taking your Fiasp. Try to stay away from any kind of fatty foods. If you're having trouble with that, obviously you can take one of our best products, which is called Size Slim Weight Loss Support, which will help you alleviate your hunger and things like that. So That's very important. So how does it work? We just covered that. Things that you guys need to know. Make sure you back off your insulin. At least for me, this is the way it worked. I backed off my insulin by about 20 to 25% because, like we were just discussing, I didn't need as much because there's basically double the amount of insulin acting within the first hour or so. So make sure to do that. If you do crash, in my experience, I crashed really hard from using Fiasp, okay? This is not to say that you'll crash every time, but if you're giving too much insulin, you will crash pretty fast because of that pretty hard first hour. Now, if you are high and you do need to correct, please do this with a little bit of caution. Use a little, for me at least, I use a little bit less than what I normally would because I know how quickly this stuff will react, okay? So wonderful stuff, I really like it, but just keep that in mind. Now, one thing I did want to point out as well is with regards to the mechanisms of it, or the hardware of the actual Fiasp delivery. So if we take a look at some of the old delivery systems, this is the Novo Flex Pen. They have this spinny top, and they have kind of a spinny mechanism here. I actually kind of like this. I found this one to be a little bit cumbersome, the Novo, because it's a very hard click, but I do like that audible click, click. I know that I just gave 2 units there. The same thing is true, but was a little bit improved, I think, with the Apidra from Solastar, which is made by Sanofi. Again, spin top here, which I like. It's got a little bit of a plungy action. And this one also moved when you injected it. There's a difference though with Fiasp. Fiasp is again a plungy mechanism here, but it doesn't spin. And unlike all the other insulins, this part at the end, at the proximal at the proximal tip, does not move. So this part just stays stationary. So when you inject, I'll hold it like this so you can see. When you inject, just that little thing here moves. The part that I don't like, and if the people from Novo Nordisk are listening, I would add that little click here because it gives me some confidence that I actually know that I injected 2 units of insulin. So I'm gonna dial it up, 2 units, click, click. I know that it actually went in. But this one, there's no audible sound. So that's my only big drawback there. The other major drawback though, and this is big, is that I use Tresiba, also made by Novo Nordisk, and these look almost identical. At a quick glance, you could grab one and think it's the fast acting, but in reality, you just grab Tresiba, which is your long acting basal rate, or vice versa. If I were you guys, I would change the styling of these, make this one pink, all pink, and this one black, or black and white. Maybe just make it easy. But that's the only downside, just those 2 things. I would make this audible. I believe you did it with Tresiba. You did. You made it. This is perfect. Whatever you did for Tresiba, make it the exact same delivery mechanism for Apidra, or excuse me, for Fiasp. I would do the exact same thing for Fiasp, but also change the colors. The colors are ridiculous. They're the exact same thing, and it can be a little bit confusing. So those are my only 2 drawbacks. Other than that, I would say 2 thumbs up for Fiasp so far. I really like it. Again, just watch out for the fatty foods and you should be all set. If you have any questions though, feel free to leave a note below in the comments section and just let me know if you have any questions. And as always, please go to sizeslim.com and check out some of our products and all the other blog posts that I've put up. I think I recently put up one on the Dexcom G6, a wonderful product as well. And let me know what you think. Thank you very much and hope you guys have a great night. Take care.